Areesha Fatma, and you're watching interview session of a magazine, My College Days, which is going to be published by Discover DU, an initiative by SRCC students about in and out knowledge about Delhi University. Well, the person whom I'm going to interview today is an achiever, an all-rounder, an explorer. He's been a successful entrepreneur, educator, business consultant, and motivational speaker. His first book, As You Can Win, inspired a lot of people and changed their lives. According to him, winners don't do different things, they do different things differently. Friends, I'm falling short of words to describe my feeling and excitement to introduce one of the eminent personalities of our country and my college super senior. So friends, in our interview session today, we'll have a lot of guftagu about Mr. Shiv Khera's life. So starting from the very beginning, that is from the very first step, college life. Sir, I would like you to describe and enlighten your college life.
See, in those days, going back, I passed in 1970. And getting out of school was more like gaining some kind of freedom. See, till school, there was so much of discipline, going back in those days, that pretty much everything was monitored, told by either the teachers or the parents. And when I finished up schooling, got into college, it was literally like getting wings, and that's it. Now in school, I wasn't the brightest kid. I was not the person who got heavily involved in studies and the studious kind of a person. In my 8th grade, out of 6 or 7 subjects, I failed in all except one. In fact, my principal called me and said, Shiv, you're paying too much attention on one subject. And in the 8th grade, out of 28 kids, I was number 27 because the 28th was absent. No kidding. In fact, my principal used to call my parents and tell them, get this kid out of the school. He's one kid who's going to bring the average of the school down. So I was bringing the average down. Anyway, those were the days when boys were supposed to take science and the girls were supposed to take arts. It was higher secondary. In 9th, you had to take a decision. Since my brother had done science and then he had to BSc, I was also looking, I gotta be going into science. But our principal told my parents, don't put him into science, he's not going to be able to work out, this kid. Well, anyway, my parents insisted, eventually, since the principal, Mr. Kapoor, had regards for them, he put me into science. And fair enough, he was totally right, I proved him right. In the chemistry class, I never did anything, I just fixed up a few chemicals and did a little blast and bang that's all that happened. Anyway, I kept dragging from the 9th to the 10th, and eventually in the 10th, guess what happened? I failed. They stopped me. Everybody went ahead, all my colleagues, friends went ahead, and I was detained. Now, sitting in a class 2 years with juniors, it is very humiliating. It's not easy. Yes. But I've gone through that. And I recall, because I was the person who was the mischief monger. Even before I used to get into the class, I remember in my school days, my principal used to tell me, he says, Shiv, just go back to the last seat and stand up on the chair and face the wall. I said, sir, what did I do? He said, you will do. I know, so you better do it right now. Well, this was schooling. Eventually, when I failed in the 10th, again, the exam came the second year in the 10th, and I had a very tough time being able to do it because I wasn't serious in studies. I used to play games, football, horse riding. I went into the Army Horse Show, won the 3rd prize. I used to go play polo at the President Bodyguard. I mean, that was my passion. That's what I used to do. But anyway, just before, a few weeks before the 10th, in the second year of the 10th, I told my parents, get me out of science. Right. And they went to the principal, and the principal said, what do you think we're doing here? We finished the entire higher secondary course. In the 11th, all we do is revision. And now this guy has lost the entire period. How does this person get into the 11th? Anyway, with great request, eventually the principal agreed. They put me into arts only 6 weeks before the final exams.
Okay.
Somehow I passed and studied hard at that 6-week period. Now then I went into the higher secondary. Again it was running off to seeing the movies. Those days the Dara Singh movies used to be huge. Yeah, the peak. Dara Singh and Mumtaz used to be those old movies when you used to jump off and go to see the movies. We had 3-4 friends, and eventually again the entire 11th year went past by till 8 weeks before. I said, now it's board, higher secondary, and what do? Then that is the time really we got serious, and we gave the exam, and we all four were not sure really what we did, what are we going to get when the results come out. And when the results came out, guess what, when we went to see the results, we started from the bottom where there were compartments.
27th rank.
Well, compartments to see if we are there. So we were not there. So I said, boy, we're in trouble. Then we started from the third divisioners. We saw, all track record said, we failed. So we started, did we make it? Did we pass? So went through the entire third division list. We didn't find our name. I said, boy, how do we handle this one?
Nervous situation.
And eventually, then we got into all the second divisioners, and our name was still not there. I told the guy, and I said, I think we just failed, and I don't know what to do now from here. So we left where the lists were hanging at that point. We left. And when we left, somebody from behind shouted and said, Shiv! I said, tell, what's the matter? He said, did you see your name? I said, it is not there. He said, did you check the first divisioners? I said, no. He said, there are 3 people who got first division. You were one of them. And I was absolutely pleasantly surprised. Imagine a person failed, repeated the class, right before the board, shifted entire from science to arts, and came back and got a first division. Well, I was grateful, and then I got 62% at that time, which was beyond 60's first division, and I'd applied to SRCC, and without any influence or anything, I got admission on merit. On merit, going back that time, 62%. Now there were many people who might have gotten much more.
But on merit, you got it.
But we got it. I
You
got
made
it. I made it. But then in college, it was totally, we never figured out to go into the classroom, study and so on. So we used to go in and a friend of ours, few friends together, get our attendance done, and then from the back door we used to leave and go out somewhere together, either in the park, or having a cafeteria, or going somewhere else, or even go to Badkal Lake, to Faridabad, for outing out there. This is how really time passed. And God was kind. Some point we kept studying a little bit, got tuition a little bit at the last point, got some tuition, and then went to the teachers and said, sir, please help us out. Otherwise, we're in trouble. So they certainly took extra time, effort to help us out. They realized also that, it was more immaturity, not seriousness in our own career, that we were behaving this way. It was nothing beyond it. So gradually moved on, and then I cleared my BCom, and that's the end of it. But we had coal mines in India. They were nationalized. You must have read that. And we had close to 1,000 people working. When the government took over the mines, we came on the street. Street means street. My father had died when I was in college, and we were left with the liabilities, and the assets were gone. And right 2 years after college, I got married. I was 22. 2 years. And when the mines got nationalized, they got nationalized only 4 weeks after my marriage. only 4 weeks. And we had no money then. All of a sudden, everything went away. We started selling furniture from the home. We started selling little things from the home. I remember a year later, my daughter was born, and I sold some of the last piece of my mother's jewelry to get released from the hospital. Didn't have $10. Did not have $10. And then from there, I tried my hands on 3 businesses with no money, and I failed in all 3. And eventually, 1975, November 13th, I left India, and my sister sponsored me, went to Canada first, and then to US, and started life washing cars door to door with a bucket in my hand for 2 years. And nobody hired me. I'm not that educated person. And gradually, from there, got into selling vacuum cleaners door to door. And then from there, got into selling life insurance, which was, in my opinion, the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. Right at that time, I got exposed to people like Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, who was in the book Power of Positive Thinking. They came in town, and I also went there, paid money to enter into that congregation and meeting, which money I didn't have, I had borrowed, and sat through. That was one of the turning points in my life. Okay. It really helped. And that day, what he said literally made me realize that in life, many times, we are our own biggest problem. Our thinking is the biggest problem. Our attitude is the biggest problem. You see, nothing changed outside, something changed inside, and the direction changed. Nothing changed outside. Imagine, one time a person like me kept failing. Same person was excelling in sports. Same person got a first division. Then again, was not serious about my studies and education. And when the mines got nationalized, you have nothing to fall back on. So God was kind, moved on, and eventually I got into 3 businesses. I bought out a company out of California in 1984 and started the New Jersey operation with no clients, and I sold my company with close to 500 clients for a decent sum. So that's really life is all about. And you see, many times when people look at people like me, you know what they say? Oh, this guy must be lucky. They just see where you are today. They don't see the struggle behind where you are today. See, the last 40 years have not been that easy. But people don't see that. They only see where you are today. They don't see your journey story behind that. And that is really sad. And I have to, since you are doing an interview and you are doing it in the media, I must mention one point to you. One of the biggest disservice done to people in this country is done by our media today. Whether you look at the print media, whether you look at the electronic media, every night you go to sleep, every morning you get up, guess what people see? The horoscope. That's all people see. And you know, it is so sad. And they keep looking, what are my stars going to do to me? What are my stars going to do for me? And then they keep looking, what's my lucky color? What is my lucky number? You look at 5 channels, you get 5 different lucky numbers and 5 different lucky colors. It is so ridiculous that people get hooked on. And when things go wrong and when things don't go right, you know what they blame? They blame the stars. And then they get hooked on to those people who say that, look, I told you so. Now I have got the remedy. Pay me so much money and I'll give you the remedy. What a joke. Isn't that a disgrace is the word. And you look at life history of Swami Dayanand, Swami Vivekananda, Guru Nanak, they never believed in these things. Never. Look at their life story. Guru Nanak fought against superstition. In fact, in the Sikhs, they don't have anything called Manglik. They don't have anything called checking out each other's horoscope, matching horoscope. People who say they can't match, you give them money, they make it match. I mean, it's a racket. And all Sikh weddings are done on a Sunday afternoon. I mean, how come everything is fine? In fact, they have actually become mentally stronger. So it has taken away. I'll share with you, Oil India is a client of mine, and last year, every 8 weeks, 6 weeks, I used to go to Assam, a place called Duliajan, and we used to do a program for the people, the executives. Airport is 1 hour away from the site. And while the driver was driving, I was reading a book at the back, and my assistant was in the front. And all of a sudden, the driver hit the brakes so hard. My assistant went flying on one side, my book went flying on the other. I asked him, what happened? Sab billi rasta gadi. So I said, now what? बोले साहब गाड़ी साइड पे लगा देता हूं मैं। मैंने पूछा कि भाई क्यों? बोले साहब ये अपशगुन होता है, अपशगुन, कुछ खराब हो जाएगा, नुकसान हो जाएगा। मैंने कहा भाई मेरी फ्लाइट अगर मिस होगी तो नुकसान तो जरूर होगा तेरा। नाउ यू हैव टू डिसाइड। तो मैंने उसको आई आस्क्ड हिम, कब तक वेट करेगा भाई तू? बोले कोई और गाड़ी चली जाएगी तो बेटर है, उसको चले जाने दीजिए। तो मैंने कहा फिर उनका अपशगुन हो जाएगा, उनका नुकसान हो जाएगा। यू नो व्हाट ही सेड? बोले दैट्स देयर प्रॉब्लम, कोई बात नहीं, दैट इज देयर प्रॉब्लम। देन आई आस्क्ड हिम वन मोर थिंग, कि supposing you had been 25 yards ahead before and the cat had crossed and you hadn't seen the cat, and you might have been the first one to cross the street at that point, go ahead straight. Then what would have happened? He thought for about 30 seconds. You know what he said? बोले साहब बिल्ली की पावर कमजोर हो जाती है. This is what he said. बिल्ली की पावर कमजोर हो जाती है. You know something? You and I are laughing, but sadly MBA, PhDs, they're all doing, the educated people are doing this kind of stuff.
Yes, sir. This is a reality.
This is totally sad. You know why? They don't want to accept responsibility for their own behavior. They want to blame everything outside. You see, when they do wrong, they don't say I did wrong. They say it happened. Stars are not working. So it is so easy to blame the stars, the horoscope, the luck, the colors, the number. Look at names. I mean, you have numerology. They put triple A's, double A's behind them, triple N's, double N's behind things. What is it? This is all back and forth superstition and destroying people's life, not accepting responsibility, and they become totally fatalistic in life. And people who become fatalistic in life, they never in life make things happen. They always wait for things to happen, and this never works in this world.
Yes, totally. So, my next question will be, what are your hobbies? What do you love to do in your free time, which rejuvenates you?
Right now, I have to say I'm guilty. I'm really finding it hard to have any free time to myself. I'm really finding it hard. You see, I cannot hold anybody accountable but myself. I'm guilty myself of losing out work-family balance myself. I have just been so much up to my neck, and many times we are giving out dates for 1 year in advance out for our clients and people for programs and so on. And in the process, certainly I am guilty in not being able to put in the right time for my family, my health, my other priorities. So, you know something, many times we go wrong in life. And till we understand that I am responsible, many times you just think about it, the amount of time-saving devices that we have today, we have never had that many time-saving devices in history. Look at this. We've never had this many time-saving devices in history, the amount that we have today. Yet, we don't have time. To do what? We don't have time to do the things we need to do or we want to do. You know why? Because somewhere we lost our priorities. Because somewhere we forgot to distinguish between what's urgent in life and what's important in life. You see, urgent may or may not be important. And important may or may not be urgent. But interestingly, you find, by and large, things that are urgent, they really are not important. And things that are important, they are really not urgent. But here's the important thing. Whenever we ignore what's important in life, it converts into urgency. I want to repeat one more time. Whenever we neglect what's important in life, it converts into urgent. I'll show you an example. See, health is important. Exercising every day is important. Good food is important. Health is important. But let me ask you, if tonight I have a very urgent meeting, I have to fly out tonight, this minute, and I don't exercise tonight, it's okay, I can handle it, no problem. It's not no urgency. Health is important, but it is not urgent right now that I have to make all my health right this minute. So it is not urgent, but it's important. But let me ask you, if I neglect my health continuously for an extended period, guess what will happen? I'll end up in the hospital. See, I neglected the important, it converted into urgent. Do you see what I'm talking about? Make sense?
Makes sense. Seriously.
And, you know, unfortunately, most of us are very guilty of it. And, in fact, I've just sent out an article, we're just sending out to the press in New York and Singapore and other places for an article to be published, because I was just addressing some business schools, and I addressed about 6,000-7,000 people in Singapore and Malaysia. And I mentioned this is especially true for all of us today, and especially the young graduates. Hear this, because really you are from the same college that where I am from, and I think it's very important to convey this message if you feel it's important. If you feel it's important, take this message forward. And here is the message. You see, today, globally, about 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. These are global statistics. And in the US, about 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. Boy, that's alarming, isn't it? And with the speed of change that is happening today, speed of change is so fast. The amount of information that we are getting in 1 week, we never got in 100 years. And look at what is going on today. Products are getting obsolete the day they're getting launched. And if they have greater shelf life, maybe 12 years is out of limits. 12 months. Now, products are getting obsolete within 6 to 12 months. But hear this, knowledge is getting obsolete within 2 to 3 years. Now, what does that mean? That means that every class that graduates today, it's supposed to be a little more knowledgeable than the previous one. Because that's the speed of change. So, the positive side is they're supposed to be a little more knowledgeable than the previous one, but the flip side is within 2 to 3 years, their knowledge will become obsolete. Then where will they go? That's the big question. Where will they go? Would that be downsizing? Would they be retrenched? Would they go into unemployment lines? Where will they go is a big question. And you keep hearing, it's like a cliche, that the only constant in this world is change. That's all you hear. It's a cliche. The only constant in this world is change. But you know something? looking at the current scenario, I have written an article, and I'd be happy to provide you one if you'd like to. I've written an article which I've sent for publication that going into the future, hear this, going into the future, looking at the bigger picture in life, the only people who will succeed in life, are those who master 3 skills that are going to remain constant. 3 skills that are going to remain constant. They haven't changed 500 years ago. They will not change 500 years after we are gone. Here are the 3 skills. 1. People who want to succeed, they must have 3 skills. 1, people skills. 2, persuasion skills. 3, prioritizing skills. Why people skills? Go check out all over the world. We don't have business problems. We have people problems. And when we take care of our people problems, most of our business problems are automatically resolved, aren't they? Number 2, look at this. We are hired for our skills, but we are fired for our behavior, aren't we? Go check out everywhere. Anywhere, it is people skills. Look at what NASCOM did a study, said 90% of graduates that are coming out today from schools, 90% of graduates, they're not employable. Balance 10%, I have a big question mark on them too. You know what? What's missing? What's missing is people skills. They're good at accounting, good at attitude is butchered. Today's graduates that are coming, values don't exist. That's another issue. And since they have a piece of paper called MBA, the expectations are so high, they all want to start as CEOs. This is like a soldier who says, I will join the army only if you start me as a general. It doesn't work that way. See, people skills, it comes down to people. And look at this. The lower a person is in life, 90% of the time goes in technical skills, less than 10% in people skills. And higher you go up, it just reverses. 90% time goes in people skills, less than 10% in technical skills. And then, look at the other part. Technology and technicians you can always buy with money. But the wealthiest person in the world must build and create relationships. Don't they? Absolutely. And today's generation, I have 2 grandsons. Today's generation are so comfortable with the computers and the machine. It will not be out of place to say, today's kids are being born with a mouse. They're so comfortable with the computers, but they have actually become uncomfortable with people. So what are you going to do? So one is, I could just go on, there are a lot more things. One is people skills. And again, it comes back to integrity. Go look at the Western world. I've been in the US now 40 years. Go look at the Western world. What has happened? There's 60 to 70% divorce rate. California, 90% divorce rate. People are getting married, divorced, remarried, re-divorced. And remarried, re-divorced. So what is it? Something is missing. Something is what? It is our people skills, commitments, integrity, attitude that is messed up.
Totally agree.
Okay, so you see, then comes to, second is persuasion skills. I was addressing a B school the other day, in fact some time ago, and pretty much their marketing professor, everybody talking, going, explaining to them, all sales are B2B, B2C, B2B, B2C, B2B, B2C, B2B, B2C. What is B2B, B2C? So I asked them, and they gave whatever is the cliched part, B2B, business to business, B2C, business to consumer.
Technical answer.
I said, you know something, that is all ridiculous. See, people buy things from people they like. And people buy things what they want to buy, not what they need to buy. And then, crucial thing is, in my book, which I've given here, You Can Sell. This is the one, You Can Sell. You see, in this book, when I launched this, people asked, is this book for salespeople? So I turned back and asked them, who's not selling? I gave a definition. Anyone who sells a product, service, or an idea is a salesperson. See, anyone who sells a product, service, or an idea is a salesperson. Based on this definition, you tell me who's not selling. A candidate at a job interview, what's he doing? A lawyer arguing in front of the judge for his client, what's he doing? A boy girl proposing to get married, what are they doing? A politician giving speeches to get votes, what's he doing? What am I doing right now? I'm selling. And you find the greatest leaders in the world, they had the greatest persuasion skills in the world. If they could not persuade people, they'd never have anybody. They would never be a leader in life. And then it says here, in life, results are rewarded, efforts are not. You see, think about it. We judge ourselves by our intentions. But the world judges us by our actions, isn't it? Isn't that so true?
It's true.
So really it comes down to, and you'd be surprised when we talk of persuasion skills and selling skills. Somebody said to me, in fact, 60 to 70% of engineering graduates today end up in sales jobs. 60 to 70% of engineering graduates end up in sales jobs. Now think about it. Either they're great engineers and great salespeople, or they are lousy engineers and lousy salespeople. Think about it, what is it? So, and probably the latter is true. So, but it eventually boils down to is persuasion skills. Success in life depends on our ability to sell and persuade. And third is prioritizing skills. I just shared with you the amount of time-saving devices that we have. Now, we've never had that many in history, yet we don't have enough time to do what we need to do and what we want to do. You know why? We lost our priority between what's urgent, what's important. And then, we've lost the priority to distinguish between what's negotiable in life, what is not negotiable in life. And we also lost our priority somewhere. We forgot to distinguish between making money versus earning money. There's a big difference. Most people want to make money, not earn money. And that's a huge difference. Do you see where it's coming from?
Yes, sir. Sir, you have inspired and motivated almost millions of people in this world. Who is your inspiration? Who inspires you?
Well, at some point in life, we are all inspired from either teachers, parents, or some mentors in history, or somewhere. We're inspired somewhere. But you see, eventually, what inspired you externally at one time, eventually converts into internal inspiration. See, you internalize it. I go through almost maybe 25, 30 books a year. I mean, I read 2 or 3 books every month. I mean, it's been going on for the last, God knows what, 20, 30, 40 years now. And I have a huge library. I listen to a lot of things, motivational all over. And then, you see, gradually you start thinking in that manner. You start becoming solution focused. You see, a positive person does not mean they are foolish. Does not mean they have to agree with everything in this world. Does not mean they have to accept everything in this world. A positive thinker only means that a person is solution focused, not problem focused. That's all. And that's it. You see, people who succeed in life all over the world, it doesn't mean they did not go through problems. They overcame problems. So success does not mean absence of problems. It is overcoming problems. And really, when you start internalizing See, invariably all over the world you find people telling others what to do. We take a different approach. Our approach is, why don't you? Because we believe most people already know what to do. If you ask a person on the street, they'll give you all the right answers. Ask them, are they doing it? Probably not. So what's missing is the motivation. Now the question is, can we motivate people? Answer is, absolutely not. What we can do is, we can inspire people to motivate themselves, but we cannot motivate them. Why? Motivation is action. I can't act for you. You have to act for yourself. But inspiration is thinking. When thinking changes, it starts reflecting in behavior, doesn't it? Which is more lasting, more permanent, and that's what people are looking for, aren't they? But it raises two major questions. One, why do people get demotivated? And two, who or what motivates the motivator? See, till we understand these two elements, we can never get an autopilot. And unless we get an autopilot, how long do we expect others to push us from outside? It doesn't work. So really, eventually, what starts as external motivation eventually becomes internal. That's all.
Okay. So we are in the last part of our interview. What message would you like to convey to parents, students?
My only message is, follow the 3 Ps. Master the 3 Ps. People skills, persuasion skills, and prioritizing skills. And eventually, people live with people, not with degrees, not with computers, not with technology. That's all.
Thank you, sir. So this was all with Mr. Shiv Khera, sir. So as I say again, like every time, I'll be back with new personality and new place. Till then, signing off, Areesha, Fatma. Goodbye.